On this week's episode, why Netflix is banking on anime, EA's stupid decision-making, is Green Lantern truly important to the Justice League, and why Black Panther could be the coolest Marvel movie of them all. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. And as always, well, he is out for Monday's show, but he is back and back strong. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He is back in the saddle with us from Humanican Media, and a man who may or may not be watching Geostorm this weekend. It's Josh Peterson. What's up, my friend?
Dude, I completely forgot about that movie. This is my let me talk about this for a second.
Well, I just want to say, because I've been actually trolling Rob McCallum since he said he started with he had a story in one of our previous episodes in regards to somebody on the bus he was with talking about how they're excited to see Geostorm. So I actually put on his Facebook page the actual ad from Warner Brothers. Now get this, it actually says, "Get ready for the ride of your life as Geostorm opens up this Friday." It is okay. And I've also, to tell you how desperate they are, because this movie's been actually made. It's actually going to not make very much money on this investment, and it's also costing well over $100 million. I have been asked to see it by Warner Brothers in advanced screenings on more than 4 occasions, and also have been invited and been reminded to see Geostorm and been asked to see Geostorm this weekend on another half a dozen occasions via email. So they are desperate for Geostorm. It's all I can tell you at this point in time. But go ahead.
Or maybe they just want you there to boost their social media presence. So we need a hit podcaster there to take care of business.
Well, this is actually not a good sign again for Warner Brothers, who are already feeling the sting from a movie that you and I love so dearly, Blade Runner 2049, which you should see instead of Geostorm this weekend.
It's building momentum. Like, it's making more money. It's because last I checked, they passed the 150 million, and people are still talking about it. So I think it's just going to be a slow burner, and we'll see. It might do a lot better than we think it's going to.
Well, it still hasn't debuted in China, so give 50 million there, and it'll make probably about 200. Like I said, I think I predicted last week it's going to fall in between 225, 250 million worldwide, which isn't going to really pay back for everything involved in it as far as production, advertising costs, but it is more like a break even for them, so that's not so bad. But if it gets Oscar nominations, and if it actually wins Oscars, and is still, sometimes they put those movies back in the theater once they win Oscars, then you can start seeing a little bit of money from it, and then it will actually get more hype if it comes out, when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray.
But yeah, back to Geostorm. I feel like Hollywood has this obsession with, just maybe once every few years, they have to just wreck the planet Earth with some crazy storms and stuff, or the end of the world 2012 or whatever it is.
2012, Day After Tomorrow, San Andreas. Basically, this looks like it's out of the playbook from each of those, and it looks like it's even worse.
Hey, but in all fairness, The Day After Tomorrow was actually kind of a good movie, sort of a good movie. For a movie of that caliber, it was decent. Sort of, but everything after that was just one train wreck after another. 2012 was bad. San Andreas was even worse. The whole part where he's that was like a prequel to Baywatch, when he's driving the boat through the city and trying to go through the building. But yeah, I don't know, man. Geostorm, I'll watch it when it hits on demand or something, but the theater is the last place I'm going to go to watch that movie.
Geostorm. Get ready for the ride of your life.
anything with the word geo in it, it's just not appetizing.
You're talking to a guy that once had a Geo Metro, so let's not go there. But anyways, it's going to be a great episode we're going to have for you today. We've got Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast and ffpater.com. He's coming a little bit later to talk about Week 7 in the NFL. Plus, Josh and I are going to be talking about everything from Black Panther to Justice League and a whole lot more, plus another great song from our good friend Plasma Z. But first, Josh, I know you've heard in the news, and it was pretty much a big thing in the pop culture world this week because of the ramifications by what EA, better known as Electronic Arts, did this week in regards to the video game scene and what it holds. I guess it kind of sends a message in regards to what possibly publishers of that ilk or that size think of certain types of games. This week, Electronic Arts shut down Visceral Games, who is in a process of making almost 4 years in, untitled Star Wars game that was a linear experience, sort of like a narrative, almost. In fact, it was kind of like our one of the best series that we both like, Uncharted, because it came from the writer of the first two Uncharted, Amy Hennig. So basically, EA in a statement that they've made, I'm paraphrasing here, basically cited that this was not the direction that they wanted to continue going on with this game. They're sending it over to EA Vancouver, who were working on parts of the game, but now they're taking full control. EA Visceral, which is most widely known for the Dead Space series, is now being shuttered and everybody's being transferred around. But basically what I think annoyed a lot of people was that it was not something that they wanted to continue because it doesn't represent the best platform for them in the current marketplace for them to make enough money. Could be issues with not being able to apply enough microtransactions, loot boxes, extended season passes, whatever. It just didn't seem, it seemed like from the actual statement that was made that it was something that EA didn't think they were going to be making enough money on. So I ask you, Josh, knowing all this and reading all this and coming to grips with the fact that a story-driven narrative game is not enough anymore in the eyes of some big publishers, what does this mean for those who enjoy narrative-driven games like you and I, that just like that experience, we don't always want to go with the multiplayers and all the other stuff, that we just enjoy those narrative-driven games, those big blockbuster games that may be a thing of the past.
It goes to show you how out of touch EA is with their fans, because they, in a way, they sort of did that same thing with, got too heavily involved in the development of Mass Effect, and we all remember what happened to that. And so, like, that really surprises me, because they want the game that Visceral is working on actually sounds interesting to me, but they, obviously, you had mentioned loot boxes and all that in-game currency and all that stuff, and that seems to be the wave of the future, because I don't think we've reached a point now where these developers no longer care about, story or driving or a narrative, something to pull players in, as much as they care about milking the game for as much money as they possibly can.
Well, let's talk about Battlefront 2, which is coming out next month, which is their prize Star Wars jewel right now. That they're boasting a campaign because there was so much backlash in the previous version, which is Battlefront, which is going to be sitting right behind me here, that it didn't have its own narrative-driven campaign. But with EA, it seems like, okay, we'll do it in the context of having a narrative, but we've got to have this great multiplayer platform, basically surrounding it and basically encompassing it and being the main part. where you can go and make sure you spend lots of money on season passes. Well, actually, there's no season passes this time around, but there is a lot of loot boxes and microtransactions.
Yeah, and that's the campaign really, that they just made that to please fans. It's everyone has become so obsessed with multiplayer and multiplayer games, multiplayer. There's Destiny, Anthem, and all this. Like EA has an obsession with these types of games, and they are isolating their fans. They're not catering to what people like me and you want, and eventually people are going to get burnt out on it. Like I know by the time Battlefront, the first Star Wars Battlefront came to the end of its popularity, people were really getting tired of it. So I don't, and it's not it sold a lot, yeah, but I mean compared to a lot of the other games that came out around that time, it was just kind of it wasn't as popular. So I just, what is it that you would like to see out of EA in the future, as far as like, a single player campaign? Or do you think, would you rather have the multiplayer games come out?
Well, I enjoy the Battlefront multiplayer. I'm going to say I did for a while until they made too many tweaks to the actual playing field and got rid of a lot of stuff that was very fun and enjoyable in the game. They nerfed a lot of weapons that I found attractive when I was first playing it, and I was actually doing well at it. And once they went ahead and updated and nerfed a lot of the weapons that I had become used to, it became less fun and much harder of a challenge for me. And I don't have that time to go ahead and grind, so many hours to be able to try and get a decent advantage over other competitors. What I will say is that Destiny 2, if they're looking at that and looking what they want their Star Wars game that EA Vancouver has now wants them to become, or the one that I think is Criterion or Sledgehammer, or one of those other studios that's also working on Star Wars games. If they're looking at Destiny as the model for trying to sustain a great business model, they may be sadly mistaken, because Destiny 2 has been reported within the last week as well as physical copies being down 50% first year over first year. In fact, first months out of first months between the original and now Destiny 2. So they're either buying a lot more online or a lot more direct download, or they're just not buying as many copies. So that's something to think about there as well. So EA, in my opinion, has made a big mistake as far as taking the talents of Amy Hennig and saying, hey, you know what? We appreciate you doing it, but it's not going to work out. And I'm sorry to see what we're going to have to do as far as either your future and the future of the studio. Because it's very disappointing, because they were working, like I said, well over 3 years on the game. I'm just would like to see those continue as far as narratives are concerned. Uncharted, yes, it has a very good multiplayer. Let's give it that. And it is supported, and it does have a community behind it. But it is not known for that. It is known for having great 15 to 25-hour story-driven narratives. They recently, as you did on your playthrough, which you can check out on the Humanica Media YouTube channel, you just played the most recent Uncharted story-driven narrative, which you said was awesome. By all accounts, everyone else is saying it's incredible, and it actually is selling strong as far as from what I can see on all the charts as well. So I don't know. I don't think they get it. I just don't think they want to get it. They see what Overwatch is doing with the loot boxes, and they see what so many other outfits are doing with their microtransactions and all that. And I think that's what they're starry-eyed about right now. And we'll see how much people are going to enjoy the loot boxes that are going to become a prevalent part of Star Wars Battlefront 2. We're going to see how much people enjoy buying those loot boxes, or buying basically pay to win, as far as them going through that route. But I'm very sad to see this game not get the light of day. And I just wish Amy Hennig and all those individuals involved with Visceral all the best in regards to their future. And hopefully that EA will come to its senses and try to focus on a narrative game once again. But any last thoughts on this, what I think is a big-time debacle on the part of EA?
Yeah, I have a few actually. So you're saying, you made a good point about Destiny and these games modeling their future endeavors off of Destiny, but that's the thing. Like, you mentioned Destiny 2 has been selling less, and we have this. So they're trying to fill the marketplace with a Destiny type game, but why do people want that when Destiny has already filled that niche? So that's
exactly.
kind of
you got that point. How many Destinies can you have in the same space?
Right. And then, you also, the whole thing with Visceral Games is that just goes to show you, like, these smaller studios, they need to stop getting in bed with these larger entities, because you're just going to end up kind of in the same position. And like, this also creates a problem for like people who like Dead Space and they're hoping for another Dead Space or a Dead Space remaster. Unless EA decides to, cart that off to another studio, we're not going to see another game like that again. And I happen to think Dead Space was a very good game. It's very thought provoking, and it was fun, and it was scary. And it was just one of those games that I would have rather played another Dead Space than, Star Wars Battlefront 2, but that's just me. But yeah, it's just the focus on microtransactions is ridiculous, especially because it's becoming such a huge thing. Look at Shadows of War. What is it? Shadows of War, right? That's what the new Lord of the Rings game. Yeah, and it's becoming such a huge thing that you can't, you're going to end up you pay $60 for the game. You're going to, spending upwards of $200 by the time you get done playing it, especially if you don't have time to sit there and grind as an adult, because if you're, when you're in high school, obviously you have plenty of time to play games, but like, me or you, like, we don't have time to sit there and grind. So they're trying to make the game more difficult, so we spend more money, and it's a system that's going to implode on itself. Did you happen to see the UK is now labeling the loot box system as gambling? So these developers have to have gambling licenses now to sell these games in the United Kingdom, which is very interesting.
Indeed, and I know there's also a strict bylaws in Japan as far as how that's regulated, and I believe also several other areas in the Far East as well, as far as how they're regulating these types of formats. Us here in the U.S., we're kind of slow when it comes to that. They're used to dealing with other things and used to arguing over other things, but we won't go into that. But I will say this, that they have the right step in mind, and as long as it's in the favor of the consumer, because like you said, $60 is still a lot. I understand and I get the fact that $60 for a game isn't to a publisher what it once was, and obviously they're trying to make money, but there's comes a point where the consumer says with their wallet, I'm not going to spend any more. And I think that point will be coming down the road if they're not too careful. And if everything comes with microtransactions, it's really going to be frowned upon at some point in time by consumers. And there's going to be a big backlash. And that's going to be a very sad time indeed, because you and I won't get quality games out of it. Narrative-driven games for us, something that we will invest our time in, because we want to see the story go from point A to point Z. Unfortunately, that's not, might be less and less happening in the future going forward if EA and other large publishers continue to see this as the wave of the future. So that's kind of disappointing. I really hope EA reconsiders its decision, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And that's very sad. That's very sad indeed. I think another business model that EA has always stayed away from is trying to do revamped versions of some of their older properties. And like I said, I will say it again, if you want to remake any property, you've got 3 great Mass Effect games, which you could probably get your hands on, redo and repackage and send that out, and you make a ton of money right there. So instead of getting rid of great Star Wars games, let's EA try and do a reimagining of the Mass Effect series and put it out with a better 4K quality and all that stuff. So that would be awesome indeed. And that's You can make a lot of money there, but I'm not running EA, and that's a shame. What are your thoughts on the EA debacle when it comes to Star Wars and Visceral Studios? We want to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. We've got a great show lined up again for you. Like I said, you got Tyler Baker standing by later in the broadcast. We're going to be talking some Black Panther, and I'll tell you what, that is such a great trailer. It's so cool, and we're going to tell you why it could be really the coolest Marvel movie of them all coming up later in the broadcast. And then also as well, what our thoughts on Green Lantern and the Justice League. What could be that deal? And Netflix and anime, that's going to be coming up right after the break as well. It's a great show for us. But first, we've got our good friend, Mr. Plasma Z, Elijah Harrison. This is Plasma Z, and this is Duskwalker, and this is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. If you're listening to this on the podcast radio network on Friday night, we truly appreciate you doing so. If you miss either this show or our other great show, the #1 show on the podcast radio network, the Pop Culture Cosmos show, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on the podcast radio network. If you can't catch either of those shows when they run on that time, no problem at all, because you can always download it on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Ace Podcast Network, Overcast, Player.fm, Google Play, Stitcher, Podcast.com, Mixcloud, the ESO Network, the Tangibound Network, Gunna Geek Network, Cast Crunch, Social Podcasts, and popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. And if you do download it, we always throw in a bonus podcast, a bonus interview, or something like that. Just something bonus in there for you. Some extra footage, something really cool and nifty for you just for listening. Josh, I know you got a lot going on with Humanica Media, starting off with also your great show at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on Tuesdays, The Attack of the Humanicans. But what else is going on with your great site known as Humanica Media?
Well, we actually have a website now. You can check that out at humanicanmedia.com. You can find all of our properties under podcasts and check out all the stuff that we've been up to, including the E3 videos I did with my good friend, Gerald Glassford.
Yes, indeed. Now we got to only sign up for CES and we're all set, but keep forgetting to do so.
Yeah, call me out.
Call us both out.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so we have a new. Brian did another interview with the guy who made from Pocket Watch Games, who made. I'm sorry, I can't even think of the name right now. But yeah, there's a new interview. Super BS Presents. Check it out now. It'll be up on the Facebook and up on our iTunes page. You can check that out. And we also have a new Topicocalypse coming at you this week. And yeah, right now that's it. We got a new Inside Sports too, but we're a little dry on content this week, but we're ramping up production here soon.
Well, isn't there an NBA preview coming up on Inside Sports?
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, Gerald, tell us about that.
Well, it's an NBA preview for this season, which I know the season's already underway, but Anthony Barberin, our NBA expert and the man in the know when it comes to the round ball, he and I chatted for a little over half an hour, and you're going to be able to hear that on the Inside Sports show coming up, or also as well, it's on our latest Pop Culture Cosmos download as well. You can hear it on either end, but it's going to be coming up on the Inside Sports show, so you can't miss it, along with Charles and Chris and their thoughts on Week 7 in the NFL, most assuredly. But we got to get them to talk more hockey, because of the NHL, your Kings are doing well, and the Golden Knights out here are doing pretty darn good themselves. But we'll talk about that on another occasion. Right.
Yeah, dude, the Knights are dominating. It's crazy. But yeah, we'll we'll talk about this. We got a whole block to discuss things, but
anyways, that's what's going on with Humanity Media as far as it's concerned. Anything else you wanted to?
No, not that I can think. Am I forgetting something? You look like I'm forgetting something.
Any topicocalypse? Any what you said? What about this already? Blah, 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 blah.
No, that's it, man. I said, topicocalypse coming at you this week, and that's all we got, man.
Oh man, slow week for you. That's amazing.
It's a little dry on content.
But check out humanitymedia.com for all the latest info on what's going on with them. Plus, if you're in the LA Orange County area and you want your wedding or special event videoed by the man himself, Josh Peterson, take a look at what he's got, because he's got some really quality work there. Check it out, humanitymedia.com. Plus also every single one of the shows, easy links right there as well. So like I said, Netflix is doing it again. They recently had their public statements in regards to the usual, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this one, and obviously they had tens and tens of shows that they're planning on producing and putting out over the next course of time and few years and whatnot. One thing that did stick out is I know Netflix has had a little taste of anime here and there and has really tried to compete with Crunchyroll as far as being a player in the anime scene, but they announced that they're going to be either very soon or within the not too distant future constructing over 30 shows coming to Netflix as far as anime is concerned. So I ask you, Josh, with Netflix so concerned about anime, what does this do with the whole anime scene shifting in Netflix's direction?
I think it's a good thing, because for a while I know Funimation was really the only provider of anime in the United States, because it used to be like Pioneer and Bandai. There are probably a couple others I'm not thinking of right now, but yeah, Funimation is the main provider right now, and for a very long time there's some sort of like export problems going on. We were having a hard time getting anime over here, and now it's like a renaissance for anime, and Netflix has done a great job of adapting some of the more the darker mangas that other companies like Funimation won't really go near, and turning them and getting an American audience to not only watch them but enjoy them.
Do you think that Netflix took a sign when Sony bought out Funimation? Do you think they took that as a sign that they need to step up their anime game?
I think it's a sign that, yeah, they took it. Yeah. Oh, definitely, for sure. And because they'd already been dabbling in anime, like as far as original content goes. I don't know if you watched, there's one on there called Knights of Sidonia, and that was actually a very good anime. And the fans are clamoring for more. So I think that Netflix is watching, because obviously with Disney taking their stuff off, it's going to leave a gap in their content. And I was reading something, they're like $8 billion in debt or something, because they've been purchasing all this content. I think that with Disney gone, it's going to save them money, and anime is probably cheaper I imagine, than getting in bed with Disney. And it's popular, and so it's probably cheaper to make, or cheaper to get a hold of, cheaper to make, cheaper to produce, and it's still appeals to a very wide audience.
And I can't agree with you more than that. I think Netflix is a great platform to introduce a lot of people to anime. I was really digging on the Sony Funimation deal, because putting it on a platform like the PlayStation 4 and possibly even PlayStation View, that could really be something if they wanted to really incorporate that 100%. So that's something to think about there. But Netflix taking the jump ahead of Sony and Funimation, and also I think they've put themselves ahead of Crunchyroll in the eyes of a lot of anime fans, or at least a lot of, maybe, I know anime fans have a tendency to be devoted, but those that are not as devoted to maybe Crunchyroll or Funimation, maybe will find Netflix as their place of choice to get their anime. And I'll tell you what, if it continues down this road, Netflix will become the new hotspot for everything anime. And that's something that obviously they've been trying to do. And I know it's been talked about as far as, their comedy that they're trying to focus on, their shows that they're trying to focus on, having Marvel there for, well, as long as they can have it until it goes to the Disney Channel. But we'll have to wait and see on that part. But yeah, definitely it is a strong sign that they're really serious about anime, and that should be great news for anime fans. Like you said, I'm just worried as far as running up this debt and how are they going to be making it all back? They're hoping on somebody acquiring them or raising up their rates even more like they just did recently. I don't know, or putting commercials on it for goodness sake. So I don't know. At this point in time, we'll have to wait and see how Netflix is going to recoup all that money. But the money doesn't seem to the money deficit doesn't seem to bother them when it comes to producing original content. So that's a great sign for anime fans, and definitely a great sign for viewers who want to get interested in the anime scene. What are your thoughts on Netflix and their growing interest in anime? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. And do you think that's going to be a great idea, or are you really into Crunchyroll or Funimation and you would like to see them flourish instead and them hold all the properties instead of Netflix, and you're scared what they're going to do? Share us your thoughts on one of those outlets. We'd love to hear from you. We truly appreciate it. And when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Justice League and why Green Lantern may be coming, and if we actually care. We'll talk about that and more when we come back. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. Josh, I know you heard some feelers. Actually, on the Big Bang Theory, I heard it was rumored as well that they were trying to overtly say that Green Lantern is somehow going to be involved with either in the new Justice League film or in the Justice League universe going forward. I know they were mentioned by Darkseid in his voiceover in the trailer. So I want to hear your thoughts. Green Lantern, is that a good thing coming there, or do they need to really establish the characters that they have already within the Justice League first?
It's weird because a lot of people are upset that there isn't a Green Lantern already in the Justice League. And I know that it's kind of a thing where they're overcrowding, because we've already established Batman, we've established Superman, we've established Wonder Woman. So now we're going to have, it seems like it would be a little too much to take 4 new characters as opposed to the 3 side characters that were already introduced in Batman vs. Superman. And as far as like the Green Lantern is to the DC universe kind of what Thor or the Guardians of the Galaxy are to the Marvel universe. So it opens up that whole, cosmic side of things. And it kind of, like the entire axis of the DC comics is funny because they kind of revolve around the whole, like the cosmic multiple worlds, stuff like that with the New 52 and Infinity Crisis and all that stuff. So he's kind of an important character, and I feel like the movie would be a little too crowded if he were to be in it for a long time. Like he would have to, and even like giving him a cameo, it would have to be very well planned, because we've had so much fan service in all of these comic book movies, especially DC stuff, that it needs to be tasteful, it needs to be done well, it needs to serve a purpose. It shouldn't be there just to entertain people.
Do you think it's time to bring him back after the fiasco with Ryan Reynolds in the previous iteration of Green Lantern?
Well, okay, look at it this way. If Chris Nolan could resurrect Batman after what Joel Schumacher did to Batman, I think that anything's possible. And honestly, I didn't think the one with Ryan Reynolds, like it there are worse movies out there. I didn't watch it. It wasn't good, but I didn't watch it and be like, oh, geez, that was terrible. But
yeah, I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think it was deserving of the trolling that it got, but it also made well over $100 million at the box office. So I don't see how that is necessarily such a bad thing. I know it didn't make a profit, but at least it didn't fail too miserably.
yeah, and my main thing is, in my head, this is why they didn't put him in Justice League, is because there's too much backstory to him to just give him a brief on the screen. Like he should have had his own movie established before Justice League came out. But I don't know what DC's plans are. It sounds like their plans are all over the place, and only time will tell. I hope they're not stupid with it, but DC has severely disappointed a lot of people so far. So hey, who knows, man? What do you think of it?
I hope they don't put too much of him in there. I hope if he does get an appearance, that it's kept very small and minimal, and that it leads to something maybe bigger down the road. I think the Green Lantern character, there is enough time now that has passed between the Ryan Reynolds effort and now that you can incorporate a better representation that might be more palatable to Green Lantern and DC fans out there. I think the time is good to at least introduce him, but like you said, not have much of him in the Justice League at all, because there's so much going on, and we're trying to understand the Flash's character and also as well Cyborg's character that are brand new to the actual Justice League movies, the DC movie universe itself. They're pretty much brand spanking new, and their stories have to be established within the framework of the giant Justice League film, not to mention Aquaman as well. So if you're going to take care of those three, there's really not much room for anyone else to be established and that's brought in new. So I would like to wait and see on Green Lantern. Maybe you can hint at him a little bit more, but that's the most I'd want to see of it at this point in time. What are your thoughts on possible Green Lantern sighting within the Justice League? Are you ready to welcome and embrace him back as part of the Justice League? Or do you really want DC to hold off on his appearance for now, or maybe not have him come back at all? We want to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, and Humanica Media on Facebook and Twitter as well. When we come back, Tyler Baker is standing by, our good friend for the Fantasy Football Pater podcast. He's going to preview Week 7 in the NFL. And then after that, Josh and I are going to be talking some Black Panther from Marvel. This is the PCC Multiverse. Everybody closes doors. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse to close out the show. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. I'm here along with my good friend. He is Josh Peterson of Humanica Media. And by the way, just check out his brand new site, humanicamedia.com, for all the latest on all of his great shows and all the other great stuff that he's doing. You need to check it out. It's just some great stuff going on there. And I'll tell you what, if you also get a chance, check out our site, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. I recently did a preview of the Los Angeles Lakers there, and also as well, I did a review of not only Blade Runner 2049, but also as well NASCAR Heat 2. If you want to check out my extended thoughts, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. I thought the game is a solid experience, but in the sea of driving games which have been coming out over the past 3-4 months, it may get snowed over, because it is just, when it comes right down to it, it's okay. It's nothing great. If you're a NASCAR fan, it's obviously something that you should get. But outside of that, if you're a driving game fan, you might be looking elsewhere at Forza, Project Cars 2, or Gran Turismo Sport. But it's still a solid game indeed. And you want to check out my full review, it's on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. So definitely check that out there, and all the other great articles that Josh and I have written on there, and all the other great friends at Pop Culture Cosmos. So, Black Panther, man, did you see that trailer? I thought it was really, really one of the best trailers I've seen from Marvel in quite some time.
I sure did. I love how Marvel is taking music, like they're now kind of taking a cue from what am I trying to say right now? They're trying to take a cue from people who use music, like Chris Nolan, how he uses music to create
Edgar Wright with Baby Driver.
Edgar Wright and Baby Driver, exactly. And they're now kind of using that to bring their movies up to the next level, and I love it. I love how they use is Run the Jewels in the last trailer, and they've actually been using Run the Jewels for like everything that's come out in the past couple of years. But I love that this trailer finally gave us an in-depth look at what the movie is going to be about, who's going to be in it, who are the villains, who is he going to be fighting, because even in sorry, the Black Panther comic books, it's a lot of it, like, he has a big part in say like the Ultimates, but a lot of that revolved around him meeting up with the Avengers and so on and so forth. So unless you've done a lot of reading on this character and his solo run, you don't really know a lot about him, but the trailers did a great job of kind of giving you the cliff notes on what he is, who he is, what he's doing. My question, I really want to know, like, I've heard rumors that the Winter Soldier is going to show up at some point in the Black Panther. So I'm curious if that's true and how they're going to make that come into effect. But yeah, it looks really cool. I thought that Thor Ragnarok looked cool, but I'm equally stoked about both movies now.
I agree with you. Thor Ragnarok has had that great Flash Gordon feel with the music and whatnot that really has made it somewhat enjoyable. Plus, also showing the banter between Hulk and Thor has really made it, for me, by far the most interested I've ever been in Thor. But when it comes to Black Panther, that just oozes cool. That just oozes a great vibe when you watch it. The music there, it's not necessarily one of those 70s or 80s tracks that Justice League and even Marvel and DC have both tried to steal from. What great track that they're taking from today, from the past. I even chided them about it. That seems to be an ongoing thing. It seemed like it was just a very good vibe and a very good beat to it as far as initially. I really, really, really enjoyed that Black Panther video. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see the movie when it comes out next year. And I definitely like the setup for it. I've definitely liked the way that they've been handling his character, and also as well showing us brief glimpses of Wakanda itself. I'm definitely interested and intrigued to see that. As far as the Winter Soldier, for spoilers, if we remember from Civil War, we know at the end that he is in Wakanda, as far as from the standpoint of obviously trying to get himself prepared so he doesn't succumb to those those words that hypnotize him and make him an evil monster. So maybe he comes out of that by the time the end of the movie comes around. We'll have to wait and see. But definitely, I think he would be an added bonus if that's the case. Plus, it also would set his character up for the Infinity War coming very soon after that. So, and that's what it's supposed to set up for anyways, correct?
Right, because this is kind of the last movie that we're going to get before Infinity Wars comes out.
And you can't do it all at the end, the last, during the credit scenes. You can't do it all on those post-credit scenes for Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok.
Right. So let me tell you my predictions, possible spoilers here. I think
watch out.
I think that Captain America is either going to hang up the shield or he's going to die. And
he already did hang up the shield, though, in Civil War.
But he's just going to take himself out of the superheroing business, because, it's either going to be him or Tony Stark is probably going to meet their end. Who knows? It'd be a weird decision if they, just in case they want to bring them back for something, for a quick cash grab. But I think that Bucky is going to take up the mantle of Captain America, just like he did in the death of Captain America and
the comics per se, right?
Right, and Ed Brubaker's classic Captain America run that featured Bucky. That's my prediction.
And that to me is a shame because I really like Chris Evans in the role of Captain America, but I too see it happening. But they may do the same thing to Tony Stark because Tony Stark is now in his 50s. Excuse me. Robert Downey Jr. is now in his 50s, and he can't be playing Tony Stark much longer, or at least the Tony Stark that gets in the Iron Man suit and saves the day. He can always play older Tony Stark, the multi-billionaire that can create all this stuff. He can still play from that end, but I don't think he wants to be in the mentor role going forward for that many more occasions. Do you think?
No, and he said he's it's getting to the point where he wants to hang up the red suit, so called. But this is okay. They really, if they're going to take him out, not take him out, but like if he's going to retire, leave, or whatever, they need to give Iron Man fans what they've been clamoring for. They need to get Iron Man 4, and they need to have him actually take on the Mandarin. Because they've been teasing this. They teased us in Iron Man 3, and they even gave us that little bonus episode in the special features of Iron Man 3 that talked about the real Mandarin, the real 10 Rings coming after him. Give us the Mandarin, give us Fing Fang Foom. Just give us, like, these are the ultimate Iron Man villains, and these are what we want to see. And if we see anybody fight them, I want it to be Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark, as opposed to Riza, or the girl's name who is now taking over the part of Iron Man. Just give us our due, and then you can send Robert Downey Jr. off into the great beyond.
And save how many tens of $1 million that he needs to get, that he's contracted for on each and every occasion. So I couldn't agree with you more. I do like his character, and he's still, with his snide remarks and his performance, still is fresh in each and every appearance that he made. He was definitely a bonus in Spider-Man Homecoming, but you could see it wear thin after a little while, possibly if it goes too long. So an Iron Man 4 finishing up against the Mandarin would be a great way to finish up his stretch as Iron Man. But Black Panther, getting back to it, definitely want to see this movie indeed very much. I think it really, really, it really shows that Marvel has a set plan, and really when it shows off a different vibe, because Black Panther has a whole different vibe from Thor Ragnarok, which has a whole different vibe from Doctor Strange, which has a whole different vibe from Ant-Man. They're able to differentiate all those different characters and within their own setup movies. So it's definitely very nice to watch, and I cannot wait for Black Panther to come out. As Thor Ragnarok looks really cool as well. As far as DC is concerned, their movies, I was worried about Wonder Woman when I was hopeful that it was going to be well done, and sure enough, it was. But is it going to go back to the bleak, dark, doom and gloom that we're so used to seeing in the DC universe? I hope not. As far as Justice League is concerned, I think they need to take those steps, and as far as seeing what Marvel's doing right and what Wonder Woman did right as well. What are your thoughts on Black Panther? Are you as excited as we are because of the trailer that just came out this week? Have you had a chance to see it? Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. So Josh, any last thoughts as we head on out?
I am currently making my way through the entire Marvel catalog of movies, and I have to say there are movies that weren't as good as I remember them being. I know what you're thinking. And there are movies that I remember are better than I remember. So they've done a good job. They've done a good job of evolving with the times. And someone was telling me that, or I was listening to this on another podcast, if you watch all three Captain America movies back, or right after each other, without watching any of the others in between, you get this whole new side of Steve Rogers, and it sounds interesting enough for me to sit there and try it, but maybe on my next run through. But yeah, I'm excited about the have you noticed that the 3 big movies coming out are all franchise related? And if you were to marathon all the movies that come before them, you would literally never leave your house.
That's true. That's true. But hopefully, is there any chance that you may be able to put pen to paper as far as writing your thoughts on the Marvel Universe? Because right now, if people want to go and check my thoughts on the Marvel Universe, check it out on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. And I will be updating it before Thor Ragnarok comes out to add in I think, Doctor Strange and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, adding those in on the list before Thor Ragnarok. I will be adding that in on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. By chance, you may want to add in your own list to differentiate from mine, because you know it will.
Yeah. I'm just, as soon as I get to the end, like, because honestly, I don't remember enough of these movies to have it like fresh. So once it's fresh, I make my way. Probably around the time Thor Ragnarok comes out, you'll see my list.
You got to watch FX more, man. You got to watch FX more.
Commercials, man. Can't do them.
At my age, I've seen so many, it's all the same. But I tell you what, if you get a chance, check out our thoughts on the Marvel Universe, at least mine anyways for right now, and hopefully Josh will be adding his too on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. And it's another beautiful day right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.